Hi, this is Steve Matteo and Fred Migliore. I said that backwards. I think I'm dyslexic today. I'm Fred Migliore and he's Steve Matteo. And welcome back for another edition of whatever this is. And Steve and I are going to be talking about the newly released Beatles Anthology, well, re-release of Beatles Anthology with some extra stuff in it. And welcome back to the program, Steve. Steve is our co-producer on FM Odyssey. FM Odyssey, you can go to our website, fmodyssey.com. Our show is aired for 35 years almost now. And it's a weekly 3 hour show with music and interviews. And what else? And Steve is a journalist when he's not doing that. And he's a writer. And that's his latest book, To Act Natural, The Beatles on Film. And
Yep.
so that's what he does. So welcome and good to see you again.
Yeah. Good to
I
see
got
you,
I
Fred.
got to ask you a question. I've had a few questions about this anthology thing. So the first part of it is um, there's more to it now that they released. They didn't just release
Yeah,
the original. All right, you know what I'm
I
gonna
can explain it.
I'm gonna be quiet because I'll just confuse everybody, and I'll let you tell the story.
Okay. It's very simple. So in 1995, the Beatles put out the anthology. And what it is, or what it was three different things. It was a television series, which was broadcast on ABC. It was a documentary about the history of the Beatles, and it was put out by, at that time, the surviving Beatles, which was Paul, George, and Ringo. And going way back in time, Neil Aspinall, who eventually became the head of Apple, around the time of the Beatles starting to unravel, he was going to do this documentary on the Beatles called The Long and Winding Road. And he started amassing all of this film and anything they can find about the Beatles that was on film or television or whatever. And so this kind of was the result of that. Now, also, what was part of that too was a book which was called the Beatles Anthology. And also, and here's what we're going to talk about mostly today, was the music. Okay. And when the music first came out at that time, it came out on these CDs, on these compact discs. And there were three of these. There were three volumes of this. And they are, they were nicely done. Uh, these two CD sets that come with these nice booklets. This one is falling apart a little bit because I don't take care of CDs like I take care of records. And I'll put that back together later. And so they were also released on vinyl, which at the time was vinyl was in a weird sort of place then. It was very much a thing of the past, is everybody was kind of into CDs at that point, and that was kind of a thing. And when the anthology first came out, there wasn't even really DVDs. It was really VHS tape machines and that you could buy. And I know some of this is really scary to people because we're talking about ancient history. So what they've done essentially is they decided, okay, it's the 30th anniversary of the anthology, and the main thing we're doing is Disney Plus has put out a series called the Anthology. And basically, what they did is just like they did with the Let It Be stuff that they turned into Get Back, is Peter Jackson went back and took all of this material and he cleaned it up and they fixed the sound and they did all of that good stuff to it. And what you watched on Disney was different. It was not the same thing. But we're not going to talk really about the video today. And that anthology series.
Let's just clarify one thing that so we're not confusing people. When Steve was referring to the anthology that came out in 1995 that ABC aired, which was over a whole bunch of nights, it was like 8 parts or whatever. He's referring to the fact that Peter Jackson went back to those old tapes. And from what I understand too, they took some stuff out of those this
I
time
was just
around.
going to explain that.
Right,
So,
right. So just
right,
so we're all on the same page,
right.
Peter.
So basically, they put it out on VHS and they put it out on DVD. Okay. This is it. And they gave you an extra bonus episode. Unfortunately, what they've just showed on Disney, yes, there are some new things that weren't there before, but they took quite a bit out. And I guess they did this to make it more palatable to television and people's limited attention spans, or maybe They took some things out they thought weren't appropriate anymore. We're not really here so much to debate or get into that. I'm going to wait for the Blu-ray to come out if that ever happens, and then we'll talk about the series as far as that. What we want to talk about today is this guy. All right, this big mother, okay? And this is a reissue of the all of the vinyl, okay? And there were three triple album vinyl sets that came out as opposed to three double CDs, okay?
Right.
And then what they've added to this is Anthology 4, okay? And that is um two things. It is, I think there are 13 previously unreleased tracks, different takes, demos, whatever they call these things. And then the rest of what is on there is music that has been coming out on these expanded editions of albums from the Beatles, starting with Sergeant Pepper and going through the White Album, Abbey Road, and Let It Be. And what they also did is they went back and they redid Free as a Bird and Real Love. Okay. So that's what you're getting. And so what I'll do is I'm going to just take the band off. This is called a belly band. Okay. This thing, this guy, I'm going to take this off and I'm just going to take out volume 4. I have to squint a little bit. I'm just going to
So,
take out
so
volume
is
4.
is volume four three albums also like the other?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. And so this is what it looks like without the belly band on it. And what they did is they just took the art from 1, 2, and 3 and put it on the cover there.
Of the
And
CD.
then that's also what they did with this. They did
Hmm.
the same thing. And Klaus Vormann created all of that artwork for volumes 1, 2, and 3. And these are triple album trifolds. And this is really going to be hard to do, but we're just going to wing it here, kids. All right. We're just having a good time. This is not NASA. So however much you can kind of see that.
Yeah, I see it. Okay. So, and there's an album in
Right.
each
And,
pack.
and
So
they're
it's three
all the
albums.
same. So the other three look
Hmm.
exactly like this. Now, one of the things that they did that was good from a graphic point, if you can see in the middle there where all the photographs were,
Hmm.
they put out the first volume. They just had like copyright things there. So now what they actually did is they actually went back and they put where every one of those places are where that's happening, which is really great. And all the
What
material
do you
that you
mean? What do you
see,
mean by that?
in other words, there's these pictures that you see here, okay?
Hmm.
In the original one, it would just say like, it would give like a photographer credit or something like that. So now what they actually do is they tell you, like there's the rooftop. So they tell you exactly where that is.
I
And
got you.
so
Okay.
all 4 volumes have these photos in the middle
Okay.
and tell you that. And then each track is annotated. And all of this material, if you buy just the CDs, it's all in the new CDs that they've put out. It's all in there too. And it's all in the originals too. Some people want CDs, some people want vinyl, some people want
And
both.
that's on
You
Apple
can,
too?
I'm sorry?
Is that on Apple too?
Yes. You can buy this volume 4 separately. You do not have to buy that entire box.
Right.
You
Is
can
it the
buy
green Apple records? Is it the green labels or?
I believe it is, yes.
Because I thought that
Yes,
was
it
the
is.
coolest one. I thought I still think that
Yeah,
that's the coolest record label of any label that's ever been made.
of
And I would
course,
always
yes.
get disappointed if I picked up a reissue and it had that
Ah,
ugly looking capital, like that purple
right,
burgundy, whatever
right.
the hell that was.
We could have a conversation about that that could go on all
Yeah, but I've always there's something about watching the Apple spin. I'm serious.
Yes, we know that.
It was such a great photograph to a great label to look at.
Yes, yes, yeah. For
Mhm.
all the drama that went on with Apple Records, and drama is a nice way of putting it. It
Mhm.
is still this beloved thing when you see that Apple, when it's not, a
You
purple
know,
capital or an orange capital, or now the original capitals
the
on the
rainbow one,
original early Beatle albums that had the
the
capital
rainbow.
swirl, the rainbow.
Hmm.
are iconic into themselves. So so the sound quality on all of these is improved, okay? And these were remixed as a lot of Beatles music was remixed around 2016.
Hmm.
Um, so I seen a comparison where they played the original anthology, the 16 mixes, and these are very good. They do sound good. Now there is a certain controversy to these. Some people feel they're only giving us 13 previously unreleased tracks, and that the rest of what's on here has come out in those deluxe editions of those four albums that I mentioned. Um, some people do not like the new mixes of Free as a Bird, and particularly Real Love. What they did with Real Love is they kind of brought John's vocal up because they have the technology now to make that work, the MAL technology. But what they did is they almost completely eliminated George Harrison's, beautiful slide guitar work. And Jeff Lynne apparently is the person who made those decisions, not Giles Martin. It was Jeff Lynne who did it. We don't know why. I'm not really going to debate it here.
Right, right.
I
So
don't I don't
what's on
like
that
it
what's on that
personally.
fourth one? Give us some examples of some of the songs that are on that one, if you can.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I don't want to scare people because I have the perfect face for radio, but I'm going to put my cheaters on, as John Lennon would call them.
Hmm.
So I'm going to put my cheaters
Okay,
on.
so to not make you feel bad, I'll put mine on too. Okay,
Okay,
so
yeah, but you're distinguished because, well,
well,
anyway,
that goes without
people can
saying.
see why you're distinguished and I'm not.
Hmm.
So what's interesting about what they did here is, so with the first three, they go in chronological order. So the first one is very much, early Beatles. The second one is like, mid into Sergeant Pepper. And then the third one takes us through to the end to Abbey Road and Let It Be.
So
This
they're all outtakes. Is that what you're saying on that one?
Well, they're different takes or outtakes or
Okay.
demos or live
Hmm.
versions or
And have they appeared on
all
other
kinds.
they have appeared on other like 50th
Well,
anniversaries?
like I said, to be clear, what is on here, this fourth one, is stuff that had already come out on the 50th anniversary reissues of
Okay,
Sgt.
gotcha.
Pepper, the
Okay,
White
okay.
Album, Abbey Road, and Let It Be. And then there are 13 that have never come out before.
I gotcha. Okay.
And so this one, unlike the others, the other three,
Mhm.
this one starts in the beginning. It starts with "I saw her standing there," and then
Right.
at the end, the last one of the last tracks here is "Something," and
Hmm.
then they give you "Free as a Bird," "Real Love," and "Now and Then" with new uh, 2025 mixes for "Free as a Bird" and "Real Love." The "Now and Then" that's on here is the same Now and Then that came out on
Okay.
the reissue of the Red and the Blue.
Gotcha.
So um so there's early things like "I saw her standing there," "Money," "This Boy," "Tell Me Why," "If I Fell," "Matchbox," "Every Little Thing," "I Need You." And then it gets into, a little later things here. I've just seen
Right,
a
right. It
phase
covers the
in
whole
my life.
catalog.
You get the idea.
Okay,
And
great.
so, it's great. I mean, I think it's wonderful. There's been a lot of consternation about what they did with Real Love, and some people feel that it's expensive, and we've already gotten some of this stuff before. To put it in a nutshell, I think a lot of what Apple is doing with the reissues, what they've been doing now since Revolver, post Revolver reissue box, is they're really trying to put out releases to bring in new audiences to the Beatles. They're
Right.
really not focusing on putting out reissues for those of us who we weren't there in the very beginning, but for those of us who were around in the 60s,
Right, right.
70s,
They want to keep it going generational. So yes,
right.
I get
I mean,
that.
I think it's a beautiful set. I highly
Everything they've
recommend
ever
it.
done, everything they ever put out in terms of reissues has just been unbelievably just top shelf from the
Since
booklet.
it's been Apple. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah. From the
Capitol didn't do such really
right, right.
great
But I'm
stuff
saying like from the reissues that started
with Sergeant
Sergeant
Pepper.
Pepper in 2017 and then the White Album in 2018 when they
Right.
did the 50th anniversary. Everything that they've done has been top shelf from the pressings of the records all the way down to the covers. These amazing books that come in there.
Right.
So it's
Right.
pretty
And
cool. Okay,
but
one
what should
thing
be
that
mentioned right before this was the BBC releases were
Mhm.
excellent too.
Right,
Those
right,
were
right.
great. They came out, that started in 94. That's what really kicked the door open, not the anthology.
Right, right. Okay. Well, since our time is going quickly, let's get back to that part of our little video here,
Can I just
everybody.
mention one quick thing, though? I do want to just mention one more thing. So they did reissue the companion book,
Uh-huh.
but they reissued it with that belly band thing again,
Mm-hmm.
and it's paperback. It's a lot cheaper. It weighs a lot more. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I
The uh,
just
the
want to let
uh,
people
the
know the
actual
difference.
book is over there on my coffee table, and you know what I've
Okay.
always thought, because the original one weighs, right? I mean, it's like 20 pounds, and it's hardcover, and I always thought what I wanted to do was get a podium for the middle of my house and open that up, that big book, and put it on the podium and open it up with one of those burgundy bookmarks that they use in the
Yeah.
churches, and
Yeah.
just put theater ropes around
Yes.
and just say this here it is,
Yeah.
so
And I just also wanted to mention there was a lot of other ancillary anthology stuff that came out that I
right, right.
suggest people look for. Like this is Free as a Bird, and it
Mhm.
has some extra tracks on it, including Christmas Time is Here Again.
Right.
And this was
Mhm.
the one for Real Love. I mean, these
Right.
are kind of neat if you can find these. There was a lot of different ones. Here was a sampler I was able to get. Apple sent me
Wow.
this.
Okay.
This was a kind of a little bit of a rarity, and there's all kinds of other goodies like that.
Right. And we're
But
actually we're
just
actually playing the Beatles Christmas Message from 1968 on our holiday show that'll be coming up in another week or two. Okay, so we're out of time, so let's do this. So every week, Steve and I try to surprise each other by featuring an album from our vast collections. And so I guess I'll go first. And what I have picked is this is an album that I never really got to visit very, very much. And it wasn't until later that I got to be able to do that. And this is the album from Eva Cassidy. I'll turn it over this way. Eva Cassidy live at Blues Alley. And this just came out on Blick Street. And this is a 45. Is it a 45? I'm trying to think if it is. I believe it. Yeah, this is the 45 RPM, just like acoustic sound. So it's two albums in order to be able to fit the whole disc in. And what I love about this is the sound quality is like amazing. And the story behind this, real quickly, is that Eva Cassidy had cashed in her little pension that she had from working in, I think it was a pet store, to be able to pay for doing a live recording at Blues Alley, which is in the DC area, in January of 1996. And so she took the money, they got it all set up with the club, and they were going to record 2 nights. Well, the first night was a total failure from a technical perspective. So they didn't get any of the recordings from that night. So what they had to do is they had to get everything from the second night, and, talk about playing without a net. There were no rooms for mistakes because you couldn't take songs from the first night and say, well, that one sounded better than the one we did tonight. And that's how they did a lot of live albums and still do. So anyway, she released that on in May of the same year, 1996. She was diagnosed with melanoma 3 months later. And 10 months after she recorded this album, she died. So they recorded it in January of 96. It was released in May of 1996. She was diagnosed with melanoma in, I think it was August of 96, and she died uh, that year, a little bit later on in that year. So, but just a fabulous record. I got to know the president of her record label, Bill Straw, over the years. He was the one that brought Mary Black over here, and Susan Graham White, and so many other folks. And just a great album, a great artist who went on to incredible heights in her, career after she died. I mean, number one records, number one albums in the UK, and then NPR found out about this, and they ran a story with him, and then all of a sudden, Eva Cassidy's got like 8 or 9 albums out after she died, and she only had like one or two out while she was still alive. So, phenomenal record. I would strongly suggest that you will love it. It's everything from jazz to beautiful singer-songwriter songs to great American songbook songs, and her voice. I can't think of too many people that even come close to Janis Joplin, and her range is just amazing. So
Hmm.
that's my thought. Live
Okay.
at Blues Alley from Eva Cassidy.
Did I think Tony Bramwell, who was part of the Beatles circle, I think he had something to do with her at some point in her career, and I forget the story,
Yeah, I
but
don't know that story. I'd like to hear it. Okay,
yeah,
so what do you
but
got as we're way out of time?
okay. So yeah, I did something a little different. Usually it's mostly 60s and 70s, but I decided to go back to this to the
Hmm.
debut
Oh,
American
wow.
album of Everything But the Girl. And
Hmm.
that Everything But the Girl is Tracy Thorn and Ben Watt. And this was the introduction for me of their music. It just kind of showed up in the mail one day from Warner Brothers. And I said, oh, that's a nice cover. And I put it on, and it's just amazing. And it's very much in the vein of like Sade and the Style Council. It's that sort of British kind of soul jazz. This is real mellow, though. I mean, they were really mellow. She's got an amazing voice. I think this was 1984, I believe this album came out. Yeah. And it was produced by a guy named Robin Miller with an A. And he was kind of the producer of this kind of music at that time. I think he produced all of Sade's albums.
Hmm.
And it's just, the 80s was filled with so much like music that was just kind of goofy new wave synthesizer, drum machine kind of, fluff that came and went and nobody wants to listen to anymore. But if you put this on, it's a timeless classic. And they kind of got more into like soul, almost dance music. They live in New York. They've lived in New York for the longest time. Ben Watt used to DJ at clubs in New York City. This is not their first album. They had an album before this that came out only in the UK. But I highly recommend this album, Everything But the Girl.
Okay, sounds great. Well, that wraps up our time here. Please subscribe to our channel here, and thank you, Steve, for doing what you do. And we'll see you the next time.
See you next time.